Welcome to rSlash Relationships, where the same guy keeps stealing all of OP's girlfriends. Our next Reddit post is from Dr. Anonymous. I'm a 30-year-old guy, and 6 years ago I was getting married. My best friend, Judas, who was 31, was my best man. I was getting married to Leia, who's 30. Our friend group was very, very close. There were like 9 of us, and we always did everything together. Days out, game nights, holidays, etc. Anytime a friend would bring another female friend into the group, Judas would end up hooking up with them, as he was genuinely just naturally very funny and charismatic, which is a big part as to why he's everyone's best man. But he was never a threat to our relationships because we were all such good friends. Just over a year into our marriage, Leah and I start having issues. I'm in the army, so I'm at camp through the week, returning home Friday evenings and leaving again early Monday mornings. This meant we only really got weekends together, and I'd always want to spend them with the group, and she would mostly want alone time, just the 2 of us, as she would have been seeing the group through the week. This, amongst other things, caused a lot of arguments, and we ended up separating. While all this was going down, 2 of our friends, Judas's cousin Andrew, who's 29, and his fiancée Phoebe, who's 29, were 3 days away from their wedding day. Judas was, of course, their best man too. Then, Andrew confessed to Phoebe that he had been cheating on her with a coworker for 6 months, so he couldn't go ahead with the wedding. On what would have been their wedding day, a couple of us went to Phoebe's for drinks to take her mind off everything, and her and Judas slept together. Worst best man ever. Those 2 had always been very close, to be fair, but we were all very surprised to find out. They apparently drunkenly did it a few more times over the next month before deciding to end all that. While Leah and I were separated, I'd still be trying my best to resolve things and work it all out, but she was slowly getting less and less interested in the idea of us. I later found out this was because she was spending all of her time with Judas. They had gotten into a relationship, and he was basically living in the house that I was paying half the mortgage for. Worst best man ever. When I found this out, I angrily texted him, "You're dead to me," to which he replied solely with an image of the word goodbye highlighted in a Ouija board. Naturally, Leah and I went through the whole divorce process, and her and Judas were happy in their relationship. Judas, Leah, and Andrew were all out of their little friend group. The rest of us went out to celebrate when the divorce had finalized, and Phoebe and I ended up hooking up. Fast forward to now. Phoebe and I have been in a relationship for 3 years now. Leah and Judas have split. She's now with some other man, and he's single. Andrew's gotten married. He actually made it to the altar this time. And yes, Judas was his best man. So who knows what's going to happen down the line with the worst best man and Andrew's new wife. Yesterday, I wanted to surprise Phoebe. I set off to camp early Monday morning like I always do, except I booked this week off in secret. I waited for her to go to work, and then I came back to decorate the bedroom with flowers, her favorite chocolates, etc. I park my car a block away so she doesn't know I'm home. When she comes home, I surprise her, but I see that she's on FaceTime. I'm 90% sure the face I see is Judas's, but she very quickly ends the call. Early in our relationship, she drunkenly confessed to me that she thought her and Judas would have ended up together after what would have been her wedding night, and that she was sad when he ended up calling that off for Leah. So my heart sank. She told me it was just her brother on the phone, but I don't believe her. I also surprised her with a trip to Disneyland. She always wanted to go in the near future, where I plan to propose. But now, I'm unsure if I should go through with this if Judas has managed to worm his way back into her life. I need help. I don't know what to do. I've been at my parents' awake all night, and I'm dreading going back home to have a conversation. Do I confront her on this, or go ahead with the planned trip and proposal and feign ignorance for a happier life? This comment from Cackling Celtic says, they traded in a dating pool for a dating puddle. Yeah, you gotta date other people, OP. I think if you created a graph of who has had intercourse with who in your friend circle, the graph would probably look like a rubber band ball, or maybe a spider web. Seems like the obvious thing to do, though, would be to check her phone's call history and see who she actually FaceTimed, but, that is a violation of privacy, so at that point your relationship is kinda starting to go downhill. Then, about 1 week later, OP posted an update. The first thing I did when I woke up the next morning was call Phoebe's brother and explain to him my plan to propose. purely so that he could be the one to break that to her when I chose to leave her. I also asked if he had been in contact with her recently, and he said no. The FaceTime couldn't have been him then. I get back home, ready with everything I need to say, ready to call Phoebe out on her BS. But before I can speak, she hands me her phone, tells me I can look through it, that she's deleted nothing, and that she'd like to talk and explain rather than shout and argue. There's nothing in the FaceTime call logs, but in her regular call logs, there's a Snapchat video call from Judas. I was kinda relieved that I wasn't just a paranoid mess, but obviously my heart sank. She said that Snapchat was the only place she could find him because he was in her blocked list, so she had just unblocked him. Sounds to me like Phoebe was the one who had gone looking to contact Judas. I read through a bunch of the saved messages on there. To be fair, it was mostly just boring chat and talking about musicals. I stopped reading when I got to a message from Phoebe to Judas saying, "I miss you." I clicked on his profile to delete and block him for her, and saw at the bottom of the page when they became friends on there. It was dated just a week before, so at least they haven't been talking for very long, I guess. What also caught my eye was in the saved pictures, there was a picture of her feet. Phoebe claims that's from a long time ago. Apparently, Snapchat still saves all the previously saved pictures when you unblock someone. Does anyone know if that's actually true? I'm not too familiar with it. Either way, I deleted and blocked him for her. She then explained that she only re-added Judas because she was always feeling lonely with me away 4 nights a week and she just needed a friend. I don't know why our current friends weren't good enough for that, but whatever. She was making all the same complaints my ex-wife had been making before we separated. I told her for this to work, she needs to keep Judas out of our lives. I told her I'll look for work outside of the army and leave. I'm a mechanic there, so I assume I can find work in a garage or something easy enough. We spent the week together and it was fine. I'm now currently back at base, and I'm deciding on if I follow through on that promise to leave and look for work elsewhere, or if I completely jump ship and literally just move elsewhere in this country. Probably still look for work as a mechanic somewhere too. Start brand new, and not have my career keep costing my relationships. I think you're on the right track, OP. Leave, flee, run, escape. To be fair, I don't think your wife cheated yet, but she was obviously going to. Of all the friends she could have reached out to, she reached out to the one that she slept with and still misses and longs for? Yeah, right. Your relationship is already over, OP. Also, people in the comments are pointing out that Phoebe obviously just deleted the raunchy texts and left the innocent texts behind. And OP was like, "Oh, you're right. I actually hadn't considered that at all. Man." So OP, bless his heart, is a bit clueless. Interesting. Some people are saying that you can get Snapchat to email you an entire archive of a conversation. Our next Reddit post is from Tiny Common. I'm a 25-year-old guy, and I've been dating Becca, who's 24, for 6 months now. Everything was going great until her birthday 2 months ago. Up until then, I'd met a couple of her friends, but just 1 or 2 at a time. This was the first time meeting a lot of her friends, and the first time I'd be hanging out with them all in a big group. We had what I thought was a great night, until that night when I took Becca home. Becca asked me what I thought of her friend, Sadie, who's 23. I'd exchanged maybe 2 sentences with Sadie, so I just said that she seemed cool. Becca then asked me if I thought Sadie was pretty, to which I responded she was, but not nearly as pretty as you. I thought that was a safe answer because I didn't want to say that her friend wasn't pretty, but I also wanted her to know that I only had eyes for her. But Becca was like, "So you do think she's pretty? I knew it. Pretty and cool." I didn't think much of this because Becca was quite intoxicated. So I just brought her some Gatorade and helped her get into bed. I figured Becca wouldn't remember this interaction the next morning, but she called me and apologized. She explained that Sadie was conventionally attractive and had a history of taking men that Becca wanted, and she didn't want that to happen with me. I assured her that wouldn't happen. I told her the honest truth, which was that with all the new faces I was seeing, I hardly remembered what Sadie looked like. I told her too that if Sadie kept going after men she knew Becca wanted, she should consider distancing herself from Sadie. Again, I thought that would be the end. But for the past 2 months, Sadie has somehow come up in every conversation. Do I follow Sadie's Instagram? Have I talked to Sadie since the party? Even when I give Becca a compliment, she brings up Sadie. Just last week, Becca got a new pair of jeans, and I told her how great her butt looked in them. And she went on this tirade about how she had to spend so much money just to get a pair of jeans that looked decent on her, while Sadie looked like a supermodel in Walmart jeans. I'm not that dumb. I know that Becca has complex underlying issues and that the Sadie fixation is just a manifestation of those issues. I don't want to invalidate her, but I get the sense that Sadie is not a problem so much as Becca's insecurities. I'm like a broken record with how often I remind Becca that she's hot and smart, that she has a great life, a great job, and a great guy if I do say so myself, lol. And there's no reason for her to compare herself to Sadie or anyone else. That Walmart jeans are trash, but I'm sure she would look good in them if she really wanted some. I've suggested therapy, which she says is a waste. It just seems like nothing I do helps. And I know it's her issue and not mine, but it's starting to drain me too. The breaking point came a couple of nights ago when I got an Instagram DM request from Sadie, saying she thought that I was cute and asking if I wanted to hang out sometime. This was followed by a series of DMs basically saying she knew that I was with Becca, but she thought that I could do better, and if I gave her a chance, she could show me what I was missing. Without responding, I took a screenshot and immediately blocked her. Then, yesterday, I showed Becca the screenshot. I fully expected Becca to crash out, but instead, she kissed me and told me she knew she could trust me. I was confused, and she explained that she had Sadie DM me to prove my loyalty to her. Apparently, it's a common thing for women to do, especially if they have a conventionally attractive friend who could probably steal anyone's man. I was completely dumbfounded. I thought people only did this stuff in movies, not in real life. I asked Becca if all this anxiety over Sadie was real, or if she had faked that too. She said it was real, but now that she knows I'm loyal to her, she's not worried anymore. She tried to kiss me again, but I pulled away. This might have solved all of her problems, but it created a whole new set of problems for me. I gave her no reason to doubt my loyalty. I never even looked twice at Sadie. I did everything I could to show her how much I cared for her, but it took this fake DM for her to trust me. What if she made another hot friend? Or what if she thought one of my coworkers was conventionally attractive? Would we have to do this all over again? I told her I needed some space. Becca doesn't understand why I've been distant since yesterday. She seems to think everything is resolved since I proved my loyalty. But ironically, I think this may be the breaking point for me in the relationship. I really like Becca, but I can't be with someone who has zero faith in me. If I'm going to stay in a relationship with her, I need to communicate to her how deeply this affected me and make sure she knows not to do this again. How can I do this without invalidating her feelings and making her turn against me? OP, it's very clear from the way you write that you have an extremely high EQ. You understand your emotions and Becca's emotions, and you articulate them well. So it's kind of odd that you ended up with someone with such a low EQ who struggles to understand how she really feels and how you feel. So I think you're just fundamentally mismatched here. I don't see this relationship surviving. On top of the betrayal of trust, of course. Then OP posted an update. After a couple days of minimal communication, Becca asked me if we could meet up to talk. I had thought about how best to say that I understood her anxiety, but that her behavior wasn't acceptable. But I wound up not having to say anything because she apologized. She told me a lot of things about herself and that she knew what she did was wrong, but also hoped I'd understand why she acted this way. It was the first time she had gotten candid with me about this. For her privacy, I won't go into detail, but let's just say she's been through a lot that more than explains, but doesn't excuse, her behavior. She even showed me she had booked an appointment with a therapist. I was ready to move past this, but she let it slip that the account that DM'd me was not actually Sadie, but a bot account that she made to impersonate Sadie, and that Sadie had no idea those DMs were sent. This was so appalling to me that I ended things on the spot. I can handle anxiety and other mental health issues, but to impersonate someone online is something I can't move past. Becca's tried calling me and texting me a couple of times afterwards, but she stopped. Even through her delusions, I think she knows it's over. Genuinely, I wish the best for her. She has some great qualities, but she's seriously messed up in so many ways. I hope she gets the help she needs, but I can't help her anymore. Well, that's not a happy ending exactly, but it is a good ending. That was r/relationships, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.